Well, hello there. So, I could never really decide to make, when I begin the stream each time whether to just go right into today's plan or to give a recap or explanation about what I do. I think I'll just give an explanation of what I do and then today's plan. And then it'll probably work out best for YouTube, for example. So, what I'm doing is I'm making my own game from scratch. In backend is going to be in C++ and Lua. Front end is in JavaScript using React framework and a bunch of utilities or libraries. And the game isn't playable yet, but I'm trying to get to that point. Once I get it playable, it won't be a complete fun game, but I'll be evolving the game over time as people are giving me suggestions. So I like to write things from scratch. I like to figure out how things work in programming from the inside out. And so I spent several months writing my own web server and web service architecture components on stream mostly. And I'm applying them to my game. So the game, being a multiplayer game, is going to have a lot of back-end server stuff, and the communication between servers and also between clients and servers is going to be through WebSockets or maybe just normal web API calls. So overall system architecture, it's pretty basic. You have your client running in the browser. It's going to connect to a server running on the back end. And there's going to be multiple copies of the server. Each one has a complete state of the game. They talk to each other to achieve consensus. There's an algorithm for that we implemented on stream. And then there's a small server way in the back called the orchestrator that monitors the game servers to make sure that they're all up and running. Inside the game server, the communication with the outside world is all through this web server class that I wrote on stream. And there's several copies of it several copies I should say, because there's private ports for each server that servers use to talk to each other. And there's the public port, which faces the internet. And sometimes the server will have a third one, which is a well-known port. So up to 3 copies of the web server are kind of aggregated together by a component called WebGate, and the coordinator goes through the WebGate to talk to these servers. Coordinator is the component that sort of maintains awareness of other servers and clients and passes messages between them. It's implementing the raft algorithm, or it's using an object implementing the raft consensus algorithm, which I developed on stream the implementation for. The algorithm isn't mine. It's a lot smarter people designed it. It's the way to get the game servers to agree about the current state and to elect one of their number as a leader. The leader server is the one that gets to make changes to the server state, and it's also responsible for replicating that state onto the other servers. So for my game, the state will be a collection of objects. This isn't something new for me. This is like the 3rd iteration of the idea I've had to make a game. And what I'm calling a realm is like an entire game world. And each one of those will have different zones. Each zone will have different places. Each place can be hosting several entities like players, items, doors, torches, that kind of thing. Every game object in the game can have multiple what I call effects, which are things that can happen when certain things are triggered. Like when you walk through a door might have a trap attached to it, and the effect trap would trigger some event in the game. Different events and different things that can be done in the game are all coded in Lua and attached to game objects, and I'm calling them methods for now. So all this stuff is the state of the game. There's going to be a component called executor, which is taking individual objects representing changes to the game state, which are stored in the journal, and Raft calls it the log, and executing them or applying them to the game state. The idea of having a journal or a log is a requirement for the consensus algorithm. It's also a nice idea to recreate the state of the game, if you have to go back and then reapply different actions, it's pretty easy. You just go back to a previous snapshot and apply a different set of journal entries. And it also keeps the state pretty robust, so you don't have to constantly rewrite your game file. You might have a game file just as a snapshot to make it faster, but any kind of changes to the game are just sequential appends to the end of the file, so to speak. So because there are different servers and clients that have different ideas of what journal entries, what changes they want to make to the game, I intend every server to have a reconciler object, and that's kind of collecting all the requests to make changes to the game and figuring out which one goes first, which ones it can accept, which ones to reject. And so it's kind of like the collator or compiler request to change the state of the game. And then that hooks directly into the coordinator to talk to the outside world. So that's pretty much the overall architecture of the game. So again, most of these components don't exist yet. I wrote the web server. It took about 70 streams, so about 200 plus hours. And then for the last 10 to 20 streams, I've been working on the other top 3 here. The web gate was pretty quick. The coordinator took a while because we had to implement Raft. Hey there, Mr. Muffles. Thank you. I use draw.io to make this stuff. I found that was really a useful tool to have. Hi. So the Raft took like 5 or 6 streams, and the coordinator is still kind of a young thing. We're going to fill in more of it today, along with some client-side stuff. I'm working on it for the first client to be like an admin console that I use to look at the state of the servers and how things are running. So we're working on that today. So let me demonstrate what it kind of looks like. If I go here and I stage the servers and then I run them. So the orchestrator starts up 3 realm servers and connects to them and finds out which one is the leader. And I can run the client. Actually, to run the client, I have to do a nodes npm start. So admin console npm start. And I should be able to go to node hosted local copy here once it starts running. I guess while that's going, I'll get set up to run other things. So let me think about this. Oh yeah, the plan. The plan for today. Whoops. There we go. So that'll bring you to this. So I have a plan for every day I stream. So you can look at past streams. Like if you want to know what follow up for things that were talked about last stream that I didn't get to, it's here. So cool. Love it. I love that you love it. So today's plan is to get the cluster status even from followers. I'll show you in a minute how we don't really know who the leader is until we actually connect to the leader and it says, yeah, I'm the leader. I also want to actually get a copy of the diagnostic log that was this window. I want to get copies of that in the web app. So here's the web app. It's not much to look at yet. Let me turn on the developer tools and we'll go to React. Close the console. Maybe make these correct widths. Okay, and pull that on screen. There we go. So I should say another thing I want to do this stream is try to cache the configuration, because it's sort of a pain right now. I have to go to where I keep the configuration file and drag it in. And now let's find out which one. Okay, server 1 is the leader. So if I connect to server 1, we get the status from it that current term is 2, leader is 1. So it's not too flashy yet. If I connected to instance 2, though, we're connected, but since it's a follower, it's not telling us who the leader is. So that's part of the plan today. Right. So for diagnostic log, I want to show maybe around here on the right the equivalent of what we might see down here. Oh, and I'm not showing all the diagnostic log here. Let me do that. So if I do this, show this. Now, when I connect to the leader, which one got the leader? Number 1, okay. You can see some diagnostic log messages down here. And it's basically saying that this client connected in. Yeah, React is it's quite a learning curve, but I'm learning a lot, and you'll see me learning more today. All right. Oh, there were a couple other things I thought about that are bugs that I wanted to look at today if I have time. So one problem is that each server is seeding its random number generator with the current time. That's bad because when we start all 3 servers at the same time, they're all getting the same, they're all seeding with the same value, and so their timeouts are pretty much going to be chosen to be about the same, which is really bad. They're all gonna, that's probably leading to a delay in the leader being chosen right here. Although this one, it picked a leader really quick. Sometimes I'm seeing it take like a second or so to pick a leader, and the algorithm says it should converge really quick. All right, let's hide those log messages. Run with a little bit less debugging. So yeah, a half a second is kind of a long time to pick a leader. Although it says term 1, which means it was the first election. Sometimes it doesn't get elected in term 1. Of course, now it's not going to happen when I want to demonstrate it happening. Murphy's Law. You can see sometimes it's not server 1, sometimes it's server 2. It probably will vary a lot more when I fix the random number generator thing. The other problem, if I have time right now, WebSocket, I had made a change so that it will hold in memory any messages it's received before we've registered a callback. Problem is, if you never register a callback, it's going to continually save in memory everything it receives, and that'll eventually consume all of memory until we run out of memory. So I want to change delegate registration so that it's one function call, and don't continue holding onto messages received after delegates are registered if any delegate is still null pointer. This, I don't like how that scrolls. Yes, Murphy's Law. When something shouldn't happen, it always does. Is that the inverse? I guess so. Like, I've always thought of it as either way is still the same. Anyway. So yeah, I want to fix that if I have time. I should say if I have time. My schedule these days has been try to go between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Although I'm tending to start later because reasons. And so scheduling about 4 hours to do this, I have a tendency to try to do more. And so I'm trying to get into the habit of saying, well, I probably won't get to this, but if I have time, there's some things I can do. All right, so the first thing is to get the cluster status even from followers. So I should be able to connect to a server that's not the leader, like that, and still see the messages. So I'm going to do the back end first because it's easier. Actually, I don't even think we need to do much on the front end. Front end stuff is already working. So I'm going to use test-driven development. I do this on the back end because I'm most comfortable with C++, and all the back end right now is in C++. And so test-driven development says we write tests first, and then we write code to make the tests pass. I use the Google test framework, which gives us these macros like testf. You include gtest.h, and you can make subclasses of testing test to have common properties that every test shares, as well as common setup and teardown. So we have a lot of tests already. I'm going to add some more here. I think what I want to add here, the names of my tests tend to be long words that represent phrases describing what use case I'm adding. Hey there, Romani. Hey, I'm doing okay. And hi there, Above Siegel. Yeah, the Google test framework is pretty neat. So, oh, I forgot to fill in this test. Yeah, we should do that too. Non-admins should not be able to get cluster status. I don't want normal players to be able to connect in and see internal back-end details. But anyway, another thing that Google Test Framework gives you is these macros that actually do the tests. Let me expand this. So for example, when we get back the message from the server, this expect equals means that this is what we expect and this is what we actually get. If they're not equal, the test will be marked as a failure. Now, if only C++ was a better language. It's getting there, right? C++ continues to evolve. Only problem is they can't get rid of their old crud. So all the old stuff, all the warts of the language are kind of there pretty much to stay. Okay, so I'm going to do this test first. This non-admins should not be allowed to subscribe. We'll do that later. So this is a get cluster status from follower. So that means we have to arrange the coordinator to become a follower. I don't have a convenience method for that. I have one for leader, but not for follower. Aw. I'm no one's idol. I'm just here to share my hobby, and hopefully actually it's becoming, hopefully going to go from my hobby to my career going forward. We'll see. But you guys help me out by giving me a lot of suggestions and feedback, so I really appreciate that. All right, so I'm looking for a test case that where the client, where the server is the leader. I guess I could just look for it, right? Not the leader, follower. Leader? We have one for leader. What did I do for 20 years prior? So you can read about my code journey. So I'm mostly, yeah, like it says there, I worked for a big company for a long, long time doing embedded software. So I wrote like, tiny OSs for, one cool project was a audio over Wi-Fi headset, like a Bluetooth headset, only it was Wi-Fi. So they wanted a software guy to write all the software for that. And so that's the entire OS and all the drivers for the hardware that they're putting in there and everything. I also worked on demo apps. So like let's say a new video format. They wanted a player, something to play the video for people. I would do stuff like that. It was super fun, but it kind of the company got so big and so kind of mismanaged in the area I was in that just kind of things would fall apart. It's kind of a bad times there right now. All right. Maybe I didn't put many follower use cases in here yet. I guess I can try to just look at... Oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's because I'm mocking Raft itself. Right, there's mock Raft. Yeah, the embedded OS that I picked was free RTOS at the time. You could look up free RTOS. It's actually pretty cool. So like it did all the fundamental things a microkernel needs to do, and kind of left the drivers up to you. And they had like add-on libraries for things like USB and other small subsystems. But since it was meant to run on anything, they kind of left all the drivers up to you, because every piece of hardware is potentially different in the embedded space. Maybe we can use this. Actually, I think this already will work. Let me see if it works. So if we use this, but we say the leader isn't the same instance but some other instance, then what happens? Or I'm kind of lost here today. Aha, here we go. Copy this test case and we'll modify it to mix our needs. Null pointer is null. Null PTR is the C++ 11 special value for pointers that is null. They didn't like to use NULL because that was it was really a preprocessor definition that maps to the value 0, and the value 0 is an int, it's not a pointer type. So it's just a more type safe value for a null pointer. There's even like a type for it. It's null pointer t. And so there's only one possible value for the type null pointer t, which is null pointer. Really weird things like that I consider warts on the language, by the way. That they didn't have null pointer t for the longest time. Now when they introduce it, it's like there's confusion between C and C++. Null, you use null or null pointer? Okay, so we're going to arrange. We're going to say it's server 0 instead of 2. And right, we have a client, log in and subscribe, and then we'll do a change where we'll say the leader is actually 0. No, 2. The leader's 2, but we're 0. I'm actually thinking this might work already. And that means the work I have to do to make it actually work in the real thing is not in coordinator, or it's in the raft algorithm. Let me confirm that. So we can leave the cluster running. I'll just make another window where we'll go and we'll run the tests. Realm server tests. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So the coordinator already will do the right thing if it gets this leadership change callback. So the problem is in Raft right now, we're not doing that if we're a follower. So got to take a step back and look at the Raft tests. All right. Okay, yeah, so it's similar to leadership gain, only when we're not the leader. So we'll call it announce leader when a follower. Okay. So leadership change announced, all this details. We set it up. We act. Let's make a helper called become follower. Maybe give an argument about who becomes the leader, so that I can use that. Well, hold on. I'll arrange it here. Const. I could type unsigned int. Having trouble typing today. Maybe it's cold fingers. Leader ID 2, and then we can use. Actually, I can do const exper. That means in a constant expression, so it's compile time constant. The C++ version, so we can get away from pound if defs. It's like const, only it is. You can only use it when the value can be computed by the compiler. If it requires a function call to conditional logic that you can't do at compile time, you can't use const exper, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I think from what I've read, it's nicer because since it's done at compile time, it's even more lightweight than a normal const would be. Okay, now, so we need to make the become follower. So it's kind of like becoming a leader, only someone else becomes leader. Actually, becoming a follower is a lot easier, isn't it? It's just you receive a heartbeat from the leader. Okay, see you, Mr. Muffles. I'm guessing you're going to be streaming. I might pop into your stream later. So have a good one. All right, so request blah blah blah. Hey there, said who? How's it going? How are the shaders going today? Save. It's one of these heartbeat ones. I'm just trying to find the right one. I'm trying to avoid writing code I've already written. Candidate. Okay, let me just pick this one. Okay, yeah, this is exactly what I want. We configure and mobilize and we wait a loop and then we send a heartbeat from someone else, so we should become a follower. So this is exactly what I want right here. Haven't had the chance to write shaders in a while. You're writing an engine. Ooh. Nice. Engines are kind of fun. I was working on an engine, not a full game engine, but just something to abstract away the differences between DirectX or Direct3D and OpenGL. I got pretty far in it, but I haven't actually really made anything substantial with it. I was working on, proof of concept was I was making a clone of Minecraft that was cross-platform in C++, and the engine was just making the graphics stuff cross-platform. But I didn't finish that game. Okay, so yeah, this is all we need to become a follower, right? Oh, except for I wanted to encode who the leader was. And it's this guy, right? Because it's the sender. Whoever is the sender is the leader. So there we go. So the arrange is that we became a follower. Oh no, this is the setup to get the callback. Quite a setup, actually. I wonder if I should move this into the test framework, the fixture. Then we wouldn't need to see it here. Yeah, DirectX and OpenGL. So because I played around with both and I saw that there's a lot of things in common. I mean, some things are too hard for me to do. Like one idea would be to make a shader language that could be transpiled to either GLSL or what is the DirectX equivalent? Whatever the shader language is for DirectX. And I'm like, I guess it could be done. Maybe someone's done it, but it's too hard for me. So I have the engine's cross-platform except for the shader. So like all my test programs had to have two copies of the shader, one for DirectX, one for OpenGL. HLSL, that's right. Yeah. I mean, they're pretty close. I could imagine how one would make a transpiler, but it was too much work for me at the time. So I was able to abstract everything away except for the shader language. And that's just doing basic pipelines. So I didn't get into any advanced stuff. And I thought about if I get into more advanced graphic stuff, the more risk I'll run into differences between DirectX and OpenGL it'll be hard to abstract away. But I got pretty far, the basic stuff. And they have the same basic concepts because the underlying hardware is the same, right? Okay, become a follower, wait 1. Yeah, so we should expect that the leader yeah, exactly. This term, we already had this. Am I in the right place? Okay, I'm just getting confused. I think this is all set to go. And I can run it and see it fail, right? Yeah. So we don't get a leadership change when we're a follower. So let's fix that. Server. With OpenGL 4.6, you can make your own shading languages? Really? I don't even know this stuff. This is stuff I don't know yet. If you don't mind, I'm going to write that down to look up later, even though it's completely off topic. I'm still way into it. Oh, LLVM. Yeah, that'd be the way to go, right? To use a framework like LLVM. Well, although I do like to make stuff myself from scratch, but LLVM would be good to leverage. All right, so where do we get? It's when we receive the heartbeat, right? On receive heartbeat. There it was. Revert to follower. That's probably where we want to go, right? So we revert to follower. Oh no, we also revert to follower when someone becomes a candidate. So we can't use revert to follower. This is the authoritative moment that we know a leader's been elected, right? Is when we receive a heartbeat and the term is different. So we'll just add something in here. Announce. Well, something like this, right? No. Let me look this up. Send leadership. Okay. Who calls that? Who calls this? Oh. Right, this is all done at the end of the server's worker thread loop. So see, this is what happens when I don't work on a module for a few days, is I already get kind of lost and I have to look at my own code again, which is why you want to make your code easy to look at. This isn't quite nice. A lot of this stuff needs to be refactored. There's a point where we become the leader, right? Here we go. Okay, it's Q leadership change announcement. I think that's what we want. And instead of it's being ourself, it is the sender. Actually, we can't just send it here. Also, we need to do that when someone subscribes, right? But this will at least pass the test for now. So wondering if there's something more elegant than the pimple idiom. I like the pimple idiom. I use it all over the place in my code. If there was something more elegant, I'd probably try to use it. So I don't know. Okay, let's see if this passes now. No, it doesn't. Oh, the term number is not right. Okay. We assigned it. Maybe my test is wrong. Maybe become follower of the... here we go. So the term... We need to probably put the term in there, right? We'll code up the term in there. And then we will... New term, I guess. One, I guess. Why not? Might have to get my space heater or turn the heater up. It's cold where I live this time of year. Colder than I'm usually used to. Cool. I just received a nice little photo text. about the space station mission elapsed time. Oh, space station mission elapsed time is 20 years. Wow. I guess if you go to mission control for the International Space Station, they still have a mission time counter. Someone texted me a picture of it. It's at 20 plus 20 years something. It's cool. All right. So we're passing that, but we're not. It's not going to work if we are querying, right? So that would be in the coordinator when we first connect. I need to rename this test because we have tell subscribed admin when we become leader, and then when admin subscribes, tell it we are a leader. So let me rename this. Tell subscribed admin when someone else is the leader. When another server becomes leader. So I want this kind of, well, repeat that, but it's when admin subscribes, tell it another server is leader. Yeah, this stuff I should probably move into the fixture setup so that we don't have to see it all copied everywhere. Okay, yeah, this is not right. Collapse this. The idea is that we want to have the leadership change happen and then subscribe. So we change the order of these things. So this moves to here. And then this moves to here, right? And we should see that fail because it's not going to do it. What? That shouldn't have worked. Okay, I'm really surprised that worked. Oh, am I running the right? Let me think. Huh. I didn't think that would work. Okay. I'm just not understanding my own code. I wrote it better yesterday than I thought. So when they first connect, where does that happen? Actually, it's when they subscribe. When we receive a message that they have subscribed. Here it is. Announce leadership. Make cluster leadership announcement. Cluster leader. Where is that stored? Oh, it already is here. Okay then. I didn't know yeah. So as long as Raft sends a callback, we just forward it all along in this announced leadership, which is what we call, okay, so yeah, that's funny. The code was already here to do it. Great, so now that means I don't have to do anything. I can just restart the cluster, restage and start the cluster again, and it should work. How come this is not working? Oh, CD, not CD. Stage, and then run it again. So server 1 is a leader. Let's connect to another server. Oh, here we go, 2. You're not receiving it. Okay, it's not working. I'm missing something. What did I forget to do? Well, let me look at the socket, WebSocket. Is it? Yeah. So it sent a subscribe, but it's not receiving anything back. Okay, am I not looking at the right one here? Oh, why did that pop up? Connect. Okay, here it is. Yeah, so it gets, when it does connect to the leader, it gets a leader announcement. But when we connect to someone else, oh, we are getting a leader. Look at that. It's just not popping up here. Why would that be? Unless I'm not understanding this. Let me completely reset here. Yep, there's a link to my game info. Game doesn't exist yet, but we're working on it as fast as we can. Okay, there's the WebSocket. Oh, that's the wrong WebSocket. I hate it when it does it. See, the debugger also uses WebSocket. I guess it's this one, right? Yeah, so we are not getting a message back. If that's true, why is this test passing? Let me sabotage this and verify it fail. I can make it fail. Amazing. What's amazing? It does sabotage it. Well, I suppose we could single step through it and see what's going on. Hmm. I did stage I built everything and I staged everything, right? So why is it not stage? Actually, if I do debugging, we'll see it. Yeah, see, only one of them is actually sending the announcement, so the others are not. They should, when they start receiving heartbeats, they should. Well, are we getting heartbeats? Let me look at that. Should be. Turn down this threshold to 0. We're gonna see a lot of messages now. There we go. A lot of messages. So many messages I can't even grok all of this. Man, I can't even read all this stuff right now. It's just too much information. But the heartbeats, that's all I wanted to really know, that we are receiving the heartbeats. Okay, so turn that level back down. Why wouldn't this work? Oh, I think I might know why. I think I know why. We're queuing the message but never sending it. Yeah, okay. Well, hold on. This other one does the same thing. On a queue message to be sent. Okay, I am very confused. Sorry, it's gonna get a little quiet while I try to figure out what the heck I'm missing. This should wake up the worker thread. This should be sent. Just as if we had become the leader. Okay, so in the coordinator, announce leadership. It'll save, yeah, save the cluster leader known, true. Okay, simple is fine. Well, but you were just wondering if there was something more elegant. I mean, we should always be looking for something better than what we have. So there might be something better that we just don't know about. So how could I maybe debug this more? I guess I could print something here. Yeah, so we can print something here. Okay, we have access to this, so we can just do this. Diagnostic sender, send formatted message. We'll send a high level message so I don't have to lower the threshold. And the format will be leader is server, and then what type is that? Unsigned int, and then leader ID. Or how about we'll say, well, actually every server will say this now. Okay, we'll try this. You just don't want to have all those substructs. It's sort of the price with C++ because it wasn't designed with the pimple pattern. So another wart of the language, right, is that if you want to if you want to encapsulate and hide away private details, it's hard to do with C++ unless you separate into two structures. Yeah, they're only used internally. And it gets complicated when the internally splits between OSs. If you look at my code where I have to have different properties if it's Windows versus Linux, because like on Windows, you might use a handle, and on Linux it's an int. And if you want to avoid using the preprocessor #ifdef and all that, you end up having a third level of structure. So the outer class points to your impl, and your impl will point to, I call it platform. So platform, things that vary by platform, because you need impl to be a concrete class, even if you don't know the OS. It just gets really complicated. Okay, we're going to hopefully see this now when I stage and run. Now we're only getting it from the leader. That's not right. The followers should get it too, and they get a... Okay, let me do the received heartbeat. Where would that... No, that's in Raft. Oh, hold on. I think I figured it out. So the term won't be less than because the other ones were candidates. Oh, the candidate, that means there's a bug in Raft. The candidates aren't reverting to follower. They're resetting the election timer, but they're not reverting to follower. I guess we should, I know what we'll do. We will, well, I need to make a test for this. How would I test this? What does the reset election timer do? Okay, so I think I can arrange a test for this. Since it's not reverting to follower in this block, it would still accept a vote result and it would actually, it's possible it could become a leader. So we can have a sort of a test case that makes sure it never happens, and we should see it's still happening. Okay, let's do that. So that'll be similar to one of these other tests here, right? Actually, we already have a test here. Only I think I made the term greater. Yeah, so let's split this into two. And it has to be more than just, is it not a leader? Yeah, this should really test more. It should... It should send in some vote responses, some artificial ones, to the old term, and it should verify it doesn't become the leader. So, receive vote request. This stuff here. Not that test. Where was it? Here it is. So we'll split this into same and greater. So the greater one should already work. So let's verify that. We will try to send in some false votes. Actually, this might also be broken, so we need to test this. Where to do it? Actually, we can do it here. So it receives a heartbeat, and let's then also give it some vote responses that would normally cause it to become the leader. What did we say? It's... I think it's 5, right? I forget. 5. 5 is the normal self. So if it's... Actually, I could say if it is... Or we already have that. Okay, we can just always vote for it. Right, it shouldn't... It would send out a heartbeat, wouldn't it? If it... Yeah, okay, this was my check to make sure it wasn't the leader. It shouldn't become a leader. All right. Raft. No, not this window. This one. Raft. Okay, yeah, so that does already work. But if we do the same term, not greater, but same, I think it will break. Then we'll have to fix it. when same term heartbeat. Okay. So the heartbeat will be 1. There you go. It broke. It became a second leader in the same term, so that's not right. So to fix it, like I thought, is we should, because we're gonna revert to leader in both, revert to follower in both. Maybe it would be better to just say if it's a greater term, if we're in a greater term already, then just return. Then I can just say revert to follower here, and don't need the else. I mean, we don't need the if. Actually, don't we always want to reset the election timer? I think we always want to do that. And don't we always want to... Oh, do we want to do that if we... A little bit more complicated, isn't it? Let's do it this way. We'll do that after. And how we know that it's either that or if it's the same and we were a candidate. How do we know we're a candidate? We're asking for votes. Sort of a... I don't like this, but this will be good for now. It's either we were in an old term or we are waiting for votes. Where do I put that? Okay, I don't like it. I'd rather, instead of having is leader, I'll say, what's the... I'm gonna look up the algorithm to see what they call it. There's like a word that they use. No. We don't need to search there. Algorithm. Here we go. Server states. So they use the word state. That's kind of a generic word. I was afraid that they might be using that. How about we call it election state? So we can say if the election state is not equal to follower? Well, yeah, not equal to follower, because we could be a candidate, right? If we are a candidate, or we were in an old term, we announce the leader of the new term, which could be the same term if we were a candidate. Okay, so we just need to introduce this. I had planned to do this all along in my head, I guess, is to replace this with something more elegant. So it would be enum class capital election state, lowercase election state equals follower. This indicates whether the server is a leader, candidate, or follower in the cluster. How about say current election term of, there we go. So the states are follower. candidate leader. In this state, the server is neither a leader nor is running for election in the current term. It is awaiting heartbeat messages from the leader, and if none is received by the time the timeout, by the election timeout before, it will start a new election. All right, and then the candidate is different. In the state, this server is running for election in the current term, awaiting vote responses. If it doesn't receive, okay, if it receives a majority vote, it will immediately become leader. If it receives a heartbeat, it will immediately become follower. A follower? The leader? Otherwise, it will, again, start a new election once the election timeout occurs. Hi, Rolling Monkey. Stream has been going okay. I got a little confused about where all of the things are happening in the raft algorithm. I think I need to refactor the raft stuff, or it could just be me. But right now I'm improving the tracking of a server's state in the election process. Right before I had an is leader, true, false. Now I'm distinguishing all three states. So to make it both easier to read, and there's one place in the logic I needed to check if it was a candidate, and that was really hard to do. It would have been really clunky and hard to read. So now it'll just be easy to say, we'll say, are we a candidate? Yes or no. In this state, the server is the leader of the cluster in the current term and will send out heartbeats to all the other servers. Okay. It reverts to a follower if it receives a heartbeat or vote request in a newer term. Sound good? So all the things I broke are where we have the is leader. So this becomes election state equals election state follower. But this is because we are currently in what class? Right, so it's in the shared state. This shared properties. Well, Gonna look kind of odd to read it that way. Actually, it needs to be moved because we had a backdoor into the server, right? Is leader, which I'm probably going to want to change. Where did I put that? Was it in the, oh, maybe it's in the public API. Oh, it is. Look at that. So it needs to, let's move it. It moves from there. At least this part, well, this part of it moves from there to the public API. let's put it here before the structure. This is used to indicate. So is leader becomes election state. Get election state. The leader, a candidate, or a follower in the current term of the cluster. I love to manually wrap the lines. Okay. That means this changes to wrapped iServer election state. Yes. Oh boy. I gotta repeat this again. That's okay. I don't mind too much. And then here it goes to this, right? Actually, we're already in the raft, so we just say iServer. Okay. So here it's clearly if we're a candidate. And then we set ourselves to be a leader. So election state equals leader, right? And okay, and when we first start, we're always a follower. Okay, okay. This changes though. Incompatible? Inconceivable. That's because this is different now. Inconceivable. Oh, that is because I did not overwrite it correctly. And this is just election state. Okay, so a lot of this, this is going to be a pain. Maybe I can replace a lot of this stuff though, because that becomes get election state and then raft iServer election state leader, comma. And so I'm expecting this to happen a lot. Okay, yeah. So there. What happens when it doesn't receive any votes? It stays as a candidate, right? That's what I'm guessing. Almost wins, we're still a candidate. We don't revert to follower simply because we lost the vote. My understanding of the algorithm. We only become a follower if we know that there's a leader. Or Actually, I guess there is really no difference. It doesn't matter if it goes to follower or stays a candidate. Candidate. Okay, yeah, it becomes the follower. When leader. Right, it becomes a follower again. Leader should revert to follower. Okay, that's easy enough. Revert to follower again. Again, revert to follower. So a bunch of these where we have to revert to follower. Repeat vote should not count. Okay, so that we stay as a candidate. Revert to follower, okay. Was leader. So that's get election state equals, and just to make it slightly easier to read, I prefer to do that. Okay. So here it's again this. All right. Phew. Actually, it's going to be another place that didn't. Yeah. Wait a minute. 290 didn't like it. 290. It didn't flag it as it not liking it. Wait a minute. What was the error? Oh, we didn't overwrite it. We have a mock. Oh, right. We have a mock of raft, and we didn't overwrite it. That's in coordinator test. Yes. Got it. Okay. Up here. This changed. Get election state. Okay. How come it? Oh, I think it's just a stale error, a stale red squiggly. Actually, that's going to break a bunch of other places, right? No? We never use that? Huh, okay, fine. All right. Ooh, I broke a bunch of stuff. Okay, what did I break? Okay, I can fix that. There's something you can do with Google Test. If you make your custom enum and you want it to print out, right? You can make one of these things. And I'm going to do just that. Looks like it's in the same grain. You want to declare it in the namespace. So like that as a free function in the namespace. So print, so it would be raft server election state. That goes here. Election state value to print. Okay, and then the body, similar to that. We just need to put it somewhere. We can put it anywhere. Let's put it here. Let's put it Where to put it? Let's put it up here. Yeah, okay. Oh, for OStream, I need OStream, right? Cool. We have OStream. Election state. We have follower. And then how do they do it? Okay, yeah, we just stream out. Follower. And then they have a default case of, I don't know. I don't know. Default of, I don't know. And then this is candidate, that's leader. And there we go. So hopefully that, now it should print those errors. Print these error messages easier to read. Nope. Oh no, it did. Okay. Expected it to be leader and it was follower. Really? How did that happen? Server does receive unanimous vote. Became a follower? 355. Feel like this might be just something simple I did wrong. Yeah, it should become a leader, right? Okay, so assuming leadership. It became a leader. So what's going on here? Oh, if it's maybe it's not becoming candidate. That's probably what it is. Well, and when we hold a new election, it needs to become a candidate. We should actually put that in the tests when it when an election is started. Collapse, please. Okay, this one. Let's put it here. Expect equal iRaft server election state candidate. When we ask the server, oh, thanks for following. Let me see if I can say your name right. I can't say it. Abish Chakraborty? I really butchered that name, I'm sorry. Can I just say Abish? Thanks for following. What is it not like about that? Oh, it's not iRaft. What am I thinking about? Raft iServer. There we go. So let me fix the other problem. Well, let's see it fail first. And there was the fail. We saw it right away there. It stayed at follower state, and it should move to the election state. Yeah, I figured I saw the chakra. Or is it chakra? I don't know how to... I'm really bad at pronouncing it, but I knew it was an Indian name. I just can't pronounce them. Which is really sad, because I worked with a lot of Indians in the past. Okay. Right, so where we start a new election, right? Election. Start election. When we start an election, we will become a candidate. Actually, there's setup as candidate. Let's do it there. Yes, this is the correct place. Become candidate. There you go. Good. Back in business, maybe. So that means I can run the other tests. They're running. Okay. Does that mean that everything works now? Let's try. Interesting. So I got responses for 2 of them, but not the third. I didn't expect that to happen. So server 2 says 1 is the leader, but server 3 didn't say 1 is the leader. Something funny's going on. Run it with more diagnostics. There we got 2 different messages. Huh. That big dictatorship. Hey there, Turbo X86. I think it's some kind of timing problem that I don't quite understand. Or is it that I just never fixed the bug I saw and my tests aren't catching it? So what was the bug? It was when we receive a heartbeat, right? Yeah. So yeah, I just don't have a test for this, I guess. Oh, no. This is correct. If we're a candidate or we're in an old term, update the term, and we have a new leader. And then we revert to follower, of course. Let me just print at this place here. Well, or we can do it here. The trick is I have to make it a higher level message so I see it. So leader for term blank is blank. Leader goes here. Term goes here. Yeah, we're not. So server 2 isn't actually. And server 3 isn't either. Never getting here. Why not? Okay, let me raise this one up. Actually, this is going to be kind of annoying. You're going to see a lot of these messages, but I'll just run it for a short period of time and then look at it. We are in term 1. Oh, it never timed out, so it never became a candidate. Yeah, okay, I know what I did wrong. I didn't test this, but it's not that it's equal to candidate, it's that it's not equal to leader. We could be a candidate in the current term, and we should still not only revert to follower, but we should also queue this announcement. Yeah, all right. Hey there, Jub's Unofficial. Can you help you later? Tried coding in VS Code and you don't know how to set up the debugger? I can show you how it's done. I have just check to see if you're using the same extensions, first of all. C++ extension. And well, we don't have only if you use CMake, the CMake tools. But if you don't use CMake, then just C++ ought to be good enough. You have it, okay. And then let me show you what I have for the launch configurations. Maybe this might help. So CPP VSDBG if you're in Windows. Maybe if you're on Linux, it's slightly different. So it might depend on if you're in Windows or Linux. But what's the error you're seeing? Yeah, okay. So what's the error message? Because I think the only thing I've had to do in Windows, in addition to hitting the add configuration, is just saying the program path and the current working directory. But everything else seems to work in the debugger. Okay, so I obviously need a unit test for this. I probably just had it as a candidate, right? No, just say, what is your error? Because all I do in my launch configuration, like I said, is I just hit add, pick Windows launch, and you can see like the only thing that's different is, well, I customize the name. You don't have to do that, but you just put in a program path and a current working directory. And the program path depends on where it ends up getting built. So this is just the name of the build directory I told CMake to put it in. And then the rest of the path depends on how you have your project set up. And if you're not using CMake, it's probably can be completely different. One thing you might check is do you have this workspace folder first? Otherwise, like it'll need to be an absolute path, which is always kind of gross. If you use this workspace folder variable, it's nice in that it's relative to the root of your workspace. And the same thing with current working directory. Maybe check those. Unless if you have the error message, you want to paste it, we can take a look at it. I'm just thinking, would it be easy for me to just paste this, for example? What was it? I still haven't gotten used to these, but there are a couple services someone was telling me about yesterday. Is that not it? How come I'm not seeing it? Oh, there it is. hpaste. We'll use hpaste. Paste bins? Yeah. Okay, no. Let's use hpaste. I've already forgotten this. hpaste.net. Really? Did I copy that wrong? Hastebin.com? There we go. All right, yeah. New? Not working. Oh, it was there for a second. What is going on with this? Oh, is it because it's zoomed in? No? E-paste. There we go. So there you go. If you want to just compare with what you have. Okay, back to this. Don't save. Right. So it's when receive a heartbeat. Actually, it's a slightly different thing, right? So when we received the first heartbeat and we didn't know who the leader was before. There's an easy way we can do that. Okay, so It's just a new use case. So it's similar to this. I'll put it right above it. It'll be receiving heartbeat, same term. How about receiving first heartbeat as follower? And then we'll have another one for second. So the first one, we should get a leadership announcement. This one. Oh, I guess I need all this crap here. Okay. That's fine. We'll set up all the stuff. Yes. Yeah, we don't need this. This doesn't need to be so elaborate. It can just be like this. And then the assert is down here. Okay. This is for same. Does it matter? Yeah, it does matter. If it's not the same term, actually, I think we need to have all these cases being different. Same term, different term, first heartbeat, second heartbeat. So it's 4 test cases total. Screen is, I think it's just 60 hertz. I don't play games on stream too much. And when I do, I always forget that I'm still at 60 hertz. And I actually stream at 20 hertz. I don't know if you noticed. But there's not a whole lot of motion when I'm streaming programming. So the frame rate's actually at 20. You would like to know if there's a big difference between 144 and 244. So yeah, me not being a big FPS gamer, I just set mine to 60 hertz. But I do have some people in the Twitch community that I talk to and who are into FPS, and they swear by the higher the frame rate, the better. And I don't know if there's much difference between 144 and 244, because I've always thought that if it's faster than 120, then the human eye can't see it. But they swear that you can, and that it does make a big difference. But I suspect it might be sort of like a splitting hairs kind of a thing. Like if you want to be the best of the best, you'd probably want a higher frame rate. But I would assume 144 would be just fine. And you might not notice the difference between 144 and 244 unless you like really were a hardcore FPS gamer and really could notice it. It's pretty nice. For me, I can't tell a difference anymore. Maybe it's just me getting older. Have I seen it in action? People have showed it to me and I'm like, I don't see any difference. So Raleigh Monkey, you'll have to prove it to me later. Maybe there's an example that I can, well, I'd actually have to have a high frame rate monitor to see it, right? Anyway, same term, so we're going to start in the first term. Current term equals not new term. Well, new term. Why not? We'll start in the same term. We're a follower. We receive one from that new term from a different server. Who's the leader? We should get an announcement, right? And then actually, let's just collapse all the things. Then there's when it's not the first, so receiving second. So that means this will be the setup. And let me make sure it's a different message each time. So there's receive the message, then there's receive another message. Actually, in between them, we'll turn this one off. Yes, we'll turn it off. We'll turn it off. Send another message. It should not happen. Okay, and then I want to do it for when it's the not the same term, but an older term. Or new term. Newer term. Just cover all our bases here. So we'll say we start in 0. That's really the only difference here. Starting 0 and the new term is 1. Okay. Now I expect some failures that we can fix. There we go. Receiving first heartbeat as follower, same term is failing. Cool. I think I've isolated it. So it's if we're not the leader. That'll fix that one, but it'll break the other test, and then we'll fix that accordingly. Receiving second heartbeat, right. This is what I anticipated, is that it's going to re-announce. So I think we need to have some kind of flag. And we only want to set it... Actually, that means I need another set of tests, don't I? If we receive a heartbeat for term 1, and then we receive another heartbeat, but it's term 2, we should still announce it. So one thing at a time, I guess. Let's have a is leader known. I'll put this down to here and move this to here. Well, hold on. No, we'll just do it here. If shared leader known. If not leader known. Q, and then we know who the leader is. So we just need to add this, right? This indicates whether or not the leader of the current term is known. Question that we need to ask though is when does it ever get set to false? I'm going to run this and then I'm going to take a quick bio break. Yeah, so that passes, but other things are going to fail. I'll be right back, okay? Be right back in a minute or two. Welcome back. Yeah, so I'm going to change the name of this leader known and say this term leader announced. Oh, my screensaver? Yeah. I just took my banner, which I really enjoyed making it, but I think a lot of people don't like it, but I like it because it shows aliasing, and I like the code, and it is computing the view transform in 3D graphics. I like it. Right, I wanted to craft another test to catch a problem with this. Look at, yep. I like how elegant the mathematics is in 3D graphics when you use matrix multiplication and for coordinate transforms. It just looks really cool. Second heartbeat. Okay. What do I want to call this? Receiving. How about receiving 2 heartbeats? Different terms, or sequential terms. We should get actually 2 announcements. So we start in 0. We'll call it first term, second term. First term, second term. I just don't want to use magic numbers, so it's first term here, second term there. Which you get second term. Should probably have 2 different leaders, right? First leader, second leader. All right. What did I do wrong? Yeah, I messed it up. This should just be term, right? And it's second term there, second term leader there. Oh, I saw that before I hit F7. Brain just had to catch up. All right. There we go. So we don't get a leadership change announcement because the way I coded this is sort of bad. So it's this term leader announced, but if it's a different term, right. Maybe this is a little bit convoluted. Actually, I think this needs to be moved out. Now that I think about it. Or it needs to be done in more than one place, really. It's wherever we update the current term. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so let's refactor that out. We'll make this a function. Just where is it called from? That's my question. Okay, yeah. So how about update current term? And we'll give it the message term. Update current term will do that. So let's put it here. New term. Here is where I want to say if they're not the same, or if it's basically if it's less than. I was stopping the thing should I handle a greater than condition. I don't think I need to. Because it won't ever be called from some other place like that, right? You see, it's rejected. Okay, so if it's if we're in a new term now, then leader this term leader announced is false. Okay. This method is called whenever the current cluster election term may have been updated. Not updated. How about this method is called toUpdate the current cluster election term. This is the new term of the cluster. Okay, so I'm going to use that wherever I have this. Oh, wherever I have this. Yeah. Could have sworn there was more places where I had to do that. I guess that makes sense. We update it whenever we either receive a heartbeat or a request to vote in a new term. So I guess it makes sense. Cool. Now let me run the that should still pass, right? And update the cluster and run that. Oh, too many messages. Oh, cool. Okay, so now I can turn down that other message then that I had tuned up. Where was that? In coordinator? Let me look at git lens to see that. Yeah, okay. Was that what we were seeing? No, it was the heartbeat that one that was annoying. Where was that in Raft? That might have been in Raft. Yeah, here we go. I think that was, no, it was the heartbeat, sorry. Actually, there are a bunch of these I want to remove. I want to remove the heartbeat one first. Yeah, here it is. So that we'll dial that back to 1. Cool. All right, so far so good. Sorry about that. Someone came home and I had to say hi. All right, so let's dial back some more of these messages. Well, I don't need this ping. What am I doing? Cool. They're all in agreement. Okay. Actually, I'm going to run with diagnostics because I want to get rid of these messages. Don't think we need them anymore from here. Yeah, we don't need this. Okay, that looks clean. Clean. Nice and clean. Cool, that has no uncommitted changes. Awesome. Cool, all right. Cool, all right. Yeah. So build that guy. Stage, run. Cool. Okay, this took a lot longer than I thought it would. Run without debugging, please. That one. Okay, so now back to the React app. Now when I connect to any, doesn't matter what server I connect to, it'll tell me who the leader is. Yay. Leader is 1. So if I wanted to, I could reconnect to leader 1 and say, oh, okay, I'm talking to you, leader. So it took me a lot longer than I thought, but we got cluster status even from followers. So I have a feeling that it's gonna be a slow day for the rest of this stuff. I don't know if I'll get to this stuff. Next, I had showing the diagnostic log. So yeah, for on the React side, I wanted to steal from the chat room thing I did many streams ago, where I actually had a little window using React virtualized. I guess I can pull that in first. So let's go to that. And then let me steal from the other code. I thought I had that window open. Yeah, there it is. So here I had an auto sizer. I'll just pull that straight out and put it in here. Actually, where did I have that relatively? Okay, I had a main left, main right. That's right. So I just div'd the main up. So div class name equals app main left. Put all these. Hold on, let me give a home for this other code that I just have in my clipboard. Render diagnostic log. And have it return that. We'll fix this up in a minute. I just wanted to free my clipboard so I can copy paste that around. All right. Okay, yeah, it was a completely different purpose before. But there's where I want to put the tells. But I'm not going to call it tells. It's going to be app log. But I wanted to copy some of the CSS was important. Yes, this was the important stuff. Log. And then I wanted to copy the left and right. I thought I had like flow stuff in here. Flex. Here it is. Flex. Here it is. Actually, why? Tell and tells? I don't remember that at all. Why do I have tell display flex? I don't remember why I did that. I actually don't need an input box right now, so I'll just forget that stuff. Yeah. I'll just try this out. Failed to compile. Right, because I haven't fixed the JavaScript. Let me just put something in there for now. Log, I guess. Render log. Message. Render tell. This was a function we give to AutoSizer for every row, every log message. So we're basically pulling out the log messages by index. Right, to do this nice formatting. Actually, okay, so I don't need this logic. I'm just going to return one thing, right? And I think for now, I just want to keep it like this was. Do I even really care about the time? I don't. I'm not even going to have a time yet. Just going to be sender and level. So it's message.sender, log message.level, and then log message.text. All right. We need to have a log to begin with. And so this is where I'm going to just put in some artificial log messages for now. So it'll be sender yo mama, level 10, of course, because it's yo mama. Why don't you call more often? All right, that's one log message. Next one is Pepe, level 7, Pog Champ. Or is it feels bad, man? This, I guess, 2 will do for now. How come... Why does it not like that? TypeScript? Oh, this is text. I forgot. Thank you, IntelliSense, even though I'm not using TypeScript. And... let's just see what that did. Okay, I'm still using the word tells somewhere, so forgot something. Oh, tells. It's this dot render log diagnostic. Why don't we just call it log? It didn't put it on the, okay, yeah, I need to do the left-right thing better. That's in the CSS, right? Ah, float left, right. Okay, want this. I'm sort of a noob when it comes to CSS still, even though I learn I learn enough to get the job done, and then I don't use it for like 2 or 3 years and I forget everything. It's sad. Interesting. Okay, it wrote it on top of itself. There's like an overflow issue. And it's too narrow. I need to adjust these percentages. Actually, probably it'll be 2575, right? Let's make some more. I want to have enough that it scrolls. That should be enough. Okay, now yes, we have a scroll bar here. The one thing I wish I could have is have it fill vertically, but I don't know how to do that yet. But at least it goes horizontal. Although I don't really like that. Ooh, that's bad. I have some work in the style sheet to work on. Let me just tweak it for now, and I'll try to get good with CSS later. And the way I'm controlling the height is down here, I think. For now it was thick. Oh, no, it was in the CSS, wasn't it? It was here. Can I do 100% here and make that work? Nah, see, it doesn't work. We'll just hard code it for now. 600 pixels. Too big. 400? Almost. Yeah, see, it has an issue where there's a scroll. I'll fix it later. I really just want to see the log show up there. Cool. So let's put the front end stuff in first. The log will initially be empty. Right, empty. And then when we log in, we'll register to receive diagnostic messages. So like this, subscribe to log. Okay. And then we have to imagine what message we'll get back if it's a log message. Probably something like we have here. And again, I don't know how to do switches in JavaScript the right ways. I just know how to make it work. Make it work, make it right, make it fast. In that order. So we'll just call this log. Okay, and there was a trick with the, I don't forget what you call it, but the ... thingy when you receive something. I think it was this. So log is ... this ... state ... log and then the new message. So can I just put the message in there? I don't know, maybe. Because we're ignoring the type thing anyway. We're only pulling out the other fields of it. Yeah, Okay, so front end is done. For now. It's sloppy, but it should work. So we're not getting the log here. That's the back end's job. So let's do the subscribe first. Test F. Your test. Subscribe to log. It's going to be tricky because the actual log messages that come out kind of depend on a lot of internals, so actually I could just put in a backdoor that, yeah, I'll just put in a backdoor to manufacture a fake log message. So we'll just set up the same thing we have when we subscribe. And collapse all this stuff. Yeah, maybe this right here. Client subscribes to log. All right. So let's keep it simple. Instance 0. They identify themselves as an admin, and they say, I want the log. So before then, let me put in a... Oh, it works. You had to use GDB launch in admin GW. Oh, so that might be a tooling issue with your Visual Studio. You know, it depends on what version of Visual Studio you have, whether or not the C++ plugin knows where it is. There's a lot of variables to look at, but I'm glad you got GDB launched to work. I haven't actually played that much with GDB on Windows. Kind of scared to. I don't really like mixing Cygwin Unix with Windows too much. I've had a lot of bad experiences with that. Things just not working the way I expect. All right, so yeah, I'm thinking about using a backdoor here. So it would be coordinator dinator clear client log. So I'm going to have this idea of some auto-rotating queue, I guess, DQ, probably be the best, of copies of all log messages generated, and we'll hold them there for any clients that want to see them. But in order to test this right, there might already be stuff accumulated in there, so I want to clear it out, and then after they subscribe, actually before or after they subscribe, we'll put something in there. Actually, let's do both. Then I kind of don't need two separate tests. So it would be subscribe to diagnostics. How about publish diagnostic message? So the sender will be I don't know. Sender will be mom. Level 7. Actually, I can arrange this with a JSON, can't I? So const auto first log message. What's the VS Code extension for to see the get message? So that was in extensions. And it's the last one there, get lens. So that's what gives you this icon here. And it's just, it gives you a bunch of tools here, and it also shows you this, it's like a blame, get blame for the line that you're on. It's kind of cool. This is all new code, so it wasn't checked in yet, but if I go on a line that was checked in, it shows me. That's interesting. It's saying it's all, oh, because all of that's uncommitted, yeah. But here it's already committed there. Git lens. First log message is, yes, so it's JSON object. Yeah, no problem. And by the way, hello, SidCon. How are you doing? So the message, I'm going to put here what we expect to get back. So it would be type log. No. What did I say? It was sender, mom, level 7, and then text. Please call more often. Call your mom. Okay, and then here we'll just pick out of that. So first log message, sender. First log message, level. Text. And we'll have a second one ready to go. Cinder, Pepe, level 3. I'm just coming up with these things out of the top of my brain. Pog champ, or no, feels bad. Feels insanely awesome and good, man. Alright, so we'll publish that one there, and then we'll subscribe, and then publish to the second one, or publish the second one. And what do we expect back? Hold on. Yeah, this is not what I want. Oh, right, I need to set up this delegate. Right, to save what we get back. Yes, so, okay. Oh, I see what we're doing down there. All right, so we can do this slightly different. So before we do the connection here, we set up something here. I'm going to actually put a JSON in here directly. Sure. And let's make it all. Expected text messages are received. We expect 2. Okay. And then down in the oh, I forgot to copy that, didn't I? Then here. Down in the assert. All text messages were received is equal to all expected text messages are received get future. So wait up to a second for us to receive them all. And then we will expect, here's where I wanted to just say first log message. Standard vector JSON object. First log message, second log message. For the text messages received. Oh, that won't compile. Oh, and this also, this is this, what do you say? Google test issue? That it wants extra parentheses? Unless I got that wrong. Oh, value. That might be why. Does it actually need those parentheses? I think it still does. Oh, maybe not. Okay. Whatever. So we don't have this clear client log, and we don't have public diagnostic message. So these are both concrete APIs, or they're in the concrete API. So I should explain what that word means to me, because I sort of came up with it by myself. I don't know if other people use it, but the actual coordinator component has a class, but it inherits from an I coordinator. And that's because I want to separate the methods that I want to allow used in the real system from the ones that are to be used in the test framework or by the integration layer, the main program of the server. So the API that other components in the system are allowed to go through are in this public I coordinator class. And then coordinator is the concrete class that implements that interface, but adds some other methods to be used in the test framework and from the main program. I call it the concrete API. Whereas this is a public API, that's the concrete API. So putting stuff in this class, but not in the base class, lets me have some methods that are effectively unavailable or hidden from the rest of the system normally. So I stash all of my backdoors, my setup here that so it's not accidentally called while the system's running. There's a lot of things in here for the test framework, but there's also the setup stuff like the mobilize, demobilize. When we start up the thing, the only thing that should be starting up the component is the main program. That's what I mean when I say either public API or concrete API. Public API would be in this class. So the only thing right now you can publicly do is configure it. And then the concrete API is all the test and setup. So we just want to have a backdoor to clear the log, and then the other one was to publish one. And that is string sender. I think I want it to be size t level, which means I need to pick it out as an int and then convert to size t. This is CRUD I have to put in because I haven't added a size t implicit conversion for my JSON value class. Okay. On standard string text. This method removes all cached diagnostic log messages from the buffer used to publish the log to clients, to admin clients. Administrators? Hold on 1 second. Let me hide the camera for a second. Huh. Well, this sometimes happens. Today's street sweeper day, so we're supposed to keep the sidewalk along the house clear. And of course, on street sweeper day, I always have the random neighbor who decides to park in front of my house, so it can't be swept. Not much I can do about it. I guess I could go out there as they park and say, hey, would you mind parking on the other side of the street because the street sweeper is coming by today? But I guess I don't want to be... Maybe people might find that rude. But unfortunately, the front of my house doesn't get swept as much because people park in front of there when they shouldn't. Okay, I copy-pasted that and I really didn't mean to do that, did I? This method is used in the test framework to append a fake diagnostic log message into the buffer used to publish the log to administrators. And I will, for the meaning of that, I'm going to refer to this this message delegate. And because I have the exact same parameters there. Put them there. All right. So Just need to give these bodies, and then we can actually test, and it will fail, and we'll fix it. Okay, so this implies I actually have a buffer to hold them in. So let's make the buffer. Well, let's just say what we expect to happen. I guess I do protect that with the shared mutex, don't I? And then I think it will probably need to be in the shared. Still need to be in the shared state. I don't want to put things in the shared state unless they really do need to be shared. Actually, they will be because the log messages. No, wait a minute. Is the publisher itself shared? It is. Okay. So it will go there. So it will be client log buffer, I guess. We'll call it that. And then this will be, hold on, I need both lines. Push back. Log message. I'll make a structure to hold it. Sender equals sender. Level equals level. Text equals text. Okay, now we need to make that and that type. Put it at the end of the list, I guess. DQ is our friend today. Of diagnostic log message. Say this what? Holds a copy of all diagnostic log messages. It's not just that it's generated by this component, but I want the whole server wide. Published. Excuse me, I had to cough, which means I need to drink more water. I think it's also my 2.5 hour mark. My voice still hasn't grown accustomed to talking this much. Published. How about generated? By the overall server. To be reported to subscribed administrators. Hey, it's exactly what I want. And then that's it, right? And then I just need this type. I need to include DQ if I haven't yet. Yep. DQ is a double-ended queue. Double-ended queues are pretty cool. And I guess we'll put it up here. And this holds information about a single diagnostic log message buffered for sending to any subscribed administrators. Probably describing more than I should. Really should just stick to that. It holds information about a message, but I don't know. I feel like being more wordy. So what we need there right for now is the sender, level, and message. Actually, I can just copy from here again. Oh, it was sender, not sender name. Sometimes I use slightly different terms. All right, that goes there. That, not that one. This one goes there. Cool. Text. Okay, I called it text. Fair enough. Did I call it text in the other place? I did. Everywhere matches? Okay, cool. So there's enough to build, but it's gonna fail. Yes. So it fails because we never got those messages out because the subscription facility isn't there at all. Oh, I should also really connect us to the real thing. So the real thing would be to also call that. Oh, thanks for following. Yeah, okay. I'll say your name once, and then I'm just going to use a shorter version. So your name is I Rob White, folks, which I don't, but I'm going to call you I Rob. Very clever Twitch name there, but possibly dangerous to say. Okay, right, this is where I'm going to call it from. And I'm going to... How come this just happens to be at the end because it's an outer function? Yeah, so I want it to also call this publish one. Oh, well, okay. Yeah, so queue deferred action. Oh, yeah, this might actually this publish might also cause queued action. So we also want to there's a special function to call when we need to tell the coordinator to actually... Oh no, do we? Hold on, let me think about this. Oh no, we'll be doing this, I think, to be sending messages, but we don't need to do that quite yet, do we? Oh no, we're leveraging that. Well, yeah, what am I thinking? Well, this reports it to the orchestrator, right? Yeah, so in addition, we also want to... I've already forgot what I called it. Erg. Publish. I don't like that name. How about we make it more specific? And it's really not... Hold on, let me think about this. Actually, is that the same as that? Did I just do something silly and have it in two places? I did. I'm just dumb. I just need to combine these two. Oh well, my bad. I'll combine the two. This message reports and does what I wanted the other one to do. It's not fake anymore. Yeah, it's not fake. It's actually used for real for a different reason. And appends it to the buffer used to publish the log to administrators. Okay, so we're going to remove this one because it's redundant. But I will keep the clear client log. Right, so it's report. Yeah, okay. I was just dumb. So we'll keep the clear but remove the publish. But yeah, this is what the other one needs to do as well. Clear that out. Put this here. Actually, we ought to just lock it all at the top. Sender name, message is text. And then, yeah, we need to do this queue thing. How is that done in other places? I guess that would be the report thing, right? Announce? Yeah, so it's like this thing. So this is queued though, right? It's not. Why did I do a deferred action here though? Oh, that's right, because this could be called from any thread. Yeah. Okay, so I need to do the same thing. In fact, yeah, it all has to be inside of there. So actually, I can just use the encoded, I can, Yeah, this has to be all put inside here. The reason I have this queue deferred action is this could come in from any thread context, so it's not safe to do this lock. So in the context of this method call, so this queue deferred action is like a way to make it asynchronous without having to make a special thread for it. We just put into a queue that our worker thread that we already have processes every loop. So okay, I had thought to, and this is premature optimization now because I had, yeah, I had thought to encode it. I might as well just do that. I thought I thought about encoding it once before we queue it, but might as well just capture everything. Can I do this? Can I capture parameters like that? Can. Because they're not constant references, right? Shared. Right, and then we can here do the for auto const auto. Can we do const auto? Client and clients, shared clients. If client dot second dot subscribed to log, which we don't have yet, then we can send it to them. So that would be client dot first send text. Oh, it's diag. Let's make it all line up so we can just leverage that. So that would be in the front end, call it diag. And in the tests also call it diag. This was a report, right? Diag. It's message instead of text. Okay. Sender, sender. Okay. Just trying to make it all consistent. This was where we put it into the UI. It also used those same names, right? Yeah. Message. Okay, cool. So it's just send the encoded message to any subscribers. So the idea of putting into this buffer is when they first subscribe, we'll immediately send them everything that has been logged. Also, I want to purge it after a certain point. If shared client log buffer size is greater than shared, we'll just invent something here. Configuration hold on. I probably want to let's look at the configuration shape. Do I want to make it per host, or do I just kind of want it to be global? Kind of just want it to be global. That would just be added down here. Log buffer size or max. Sure. So what? What do I set? What do I want it to be? Not too many, but also not too few. I don't know. How about 1,024? So we'll pull that from the configuration. And a little dance with the types because of I don't have a size t implicit conversion for that. And if it is, then we'll pop the back. We'll pop the front. Right. Okay. Pop the front. Let's make the subscribe to log next. So that here it is. This flag indicates whether or not the client is subscribed to receive diagnostic log messages. Oh, right. So the last thing will, well actually this should partially pass the test, right? Oh, did I make that an assert? I really don't need to. I want to have it continue and test more. Let's just do an expect. Because it should give us one message now. It should give us the second message, but not the first. Oh, we got nothing. Okay. Why wouldn't we receive any of that? Oh no, we didn't, because I didn't ever subscribe. Okay. I'm being dumb. It's when we receive a message on text. What is it called? I should be in the right file. On WebSocket text. That's not an info hello. It's not a raft message. Otherwise, right, otherwise we assume it's a client. We'll make a record for them. And you know, I should have had, if I accidentally send a message on the private port, it'll appear as if it came from a client and we'll actually store the WebSocket there. That could be bad. I don't want to handle this now, but let me make a note to handle this later. If unrecognized message appears on private port, coordinator will assume it's from a client. this will end up keeping the WebSocket around in the client set even after the whatever it is the other server disconnects. That could be bad. Be just a leak. So let me fix that later. And right, so we're just adding a new type of message that we can receive. Subscribe to log, right? So the moment they subscribe, actually we should handle the case where they double subscribe. Shouldn't we? Well, actually it doesn't really matter. They'll just get another copy of the log again. Which might be a good thing, like if they forget. Subscribed. If they get a copy of the log and then they forget it for some reason and they want to get another copy of what's already been buffered, they can just call this method again, and this will be a no-op, but then we will send them all the messages. So here's the sending of the messages. So it's for cons auto log message in context coordinator client log buffer. For each one, it's a message. So, it's going to be the same stuff, right? So let me refactor that out. Well, it's in two places though. What if I refactor out this part of it? So let me do that. So actually that can just be a helper. Whatever. We'll put it here somewhere. Right. Yeah, actually, like this. This should be a pure function. It doesn't depend on any... oh no, it does depend on state. Okay, but it's similar, but this one won't depend on state. So string make diagnostic log message. Encoded. And it will take one, I guess. Is that fair? Because it has one, right? Well, it can make one. We can do that. Right, okay. So back up there. We can just return it. Const diagnostic log message. Log message. Whoops. Okay. Let's call it a function. I plan to make it a pure function outside the class. This function. Oh, I'm getting little blue dots above my head. That happens whenever the light level in the room changes. I need to turn up the aggressiveness on the filter. Okay. This function returns the encoded JSON equivalent, the given diagnostic log message. This is the diagnostic log message to encode, and then this is returned. All right. And so it's going to be log message dot sender, log message dot level, log message dot text. Okay. And then we're going to use that in two places here. So const auto, actually I can just paste it here. And then I'll use it also in the loop that I was working on around here somewhere. Here. And again, so it will be WebSocket send text encoded message. There we go. And this should be log message. Awesomeness. Oh, this is right now shared. I need to make that a pure function. It doesn't need to be in the share. It doesn't need to be a method of the shared properties. Anyway, let's see if that makes the test pass. Nope. Oh, right. I didn't pretty print that one. Under mom type diag. Oh, hold on. It might be a type problem in the tests. No? So what's different here? Level 7, please call more often from mom. Type is diag. Level 3 messages feels insanely awesome and good, man. Sender Pepe. Type diag. Why are they not equal? Oh, is it because this is coming out as an object and not an array? No, that's a vector. This means a vector, and when Google test prints it vector containing these elements. Is it just the comparator that's failing? Let me set a breakpoint and run this. Server test run. Didn't run. Oh, probably because I have a filter set up. Yeah, I have a filter. Turn off the filter, please. Should probably also remove all the other breakpoints I have. Like this one's an old breakpoint. So delete it. Hold on a sec. Actually, I can just mute the camera. Oh, good news. That car moved before the street sweeper came. So the street got swept. Okay, so why are these not considered equivalent? The text messages received. Okay, I put it in delegate context. Right, it received 2 messages. It's kind of hard to see this. Oh, interesting. It's a string containing a JSON. How did that happen? It's a JSON string containing the encoding of an object. Did I not code this test right? Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I needed to decode from JSON there. Yeah, that's the problem. I copied this from another test where we were just pushing into a vector of strings, but now it's pushing into a vector of JSON values. So I need to actually do a conversion, a decoding. So JSON value from encoding of the data. That's what it is. I guess that's also why it printed it that way and didn't print it like that. Yay! So now, if I put it all together, hopefully I actually get the log from each server now. So, stage, then run. And we should be, hopefully if this works, I'll be able to see some diagnostic log messages here. I got to drag configuration onto it. Check. There you go. Now connect. Oh, look at that. It's kind of weirdly wrapped though. Look at that. That looks awesome. And I can disconnect. Actually, when I disconnect, I should probably clear the log. But if I connect to someone else... Yeah, okay, so it's not clearing the log. We should clear the log when we subscribe, right? Or no, we should clear the log when we disconnect. That disconnect, and then we won't get confused. All right, so let's do that. So that's in the front end again. So on disconnect, on disconnect. So we'll just clear the log here. And yeah, this will be the last thing I work on if I have time. Actually, I'm kind of running out short on time. No, I got time. I wanted to kind of cache the config file. So now there's the log from server 1 and there's the log from server 2. And just make it complete, there's the log from server 3. Actually, you can see if I connect to 1 again, you'll see this thing multiple times because every time we connected, we caused these messages to be generated. So if I wanted to like play around with this, I could make another window. And I can go to, well, let me make it narrow. You'll see it happen. If I just make a request to that server's public port, which it'll tell me, it's 8084. Okay, it's wrapping again. I need to fix the wrapping issue. I think that has to do with how I'm using React virtualized. If I close this though, we should see it. Okay, it's way too long. Oh, right, the public port, yeah. The public port doesn't allow that, but the private port will. Let's try 1. I mean 2. So 8186. Oh, I expected it to append something. Oh, because we have the log level set pretty high. So I'd have to set the log level lower. But anyway, you get the idea. As we do stuff that causes log messages to be appended, it should append it to the log. And it's not just when we connect. So if I try to go back and access, every time I hit refresh there, it's appending to the log. So I need to fix that overflow issue. Let me make that in my notes. I'm going to research that a little bit off stream. So figure out how to avoid the overflow issue with, what is that called? It's like a React virtualized list. So it's printing that and then wrapping down to here, but then it's starting the next line like right on top. So that's, I think it's like a bug in a React virtualized. I looked into what Hideo told me the other day about React Window is made by the same author as React virtualized, and it's like a rewrite, but it's missing some stuff, and so even the author himself isn't using React Window yet. So I'm watching that new project, and for now I'll continue using the virtualized. The React virtualized lets me do this, where it's not rendering the entire log, so the log might be 1,000 lines long. It'll only render what is actually the last message, or the messages you can see. Excuse me. Another thing I want to do is, right now it is always scrolling to the end whenever this updates. It's always scrolling to the end. I'd like it if you scroll up off of the end, that it not jump back down. I need to also figure that out. Figure out how to dynamically decide whether or not to scroll to the bottom whenever a new log message is received. You know, the sad thing is I already figured this out at my last job, but I can't take anything from my last job out of there, and so I didn't get any of my code, and I don't remember how I did it. I remember that I figured it out, at least the scroll bar stuff, but I don't remember how I did it. I don't know if I can't remember if I ever fixed the overflow issue or not. I think I might have. And I might have made it say ... here on the end, or I might have made a horizontal scroll bar. I can't remember. Yeah, sad thing is I'll have to refigure it out. Anyway, this is awesome. I can get the diagnostic log now. So, caching the configuration is the last thing I wanted to work on today, at least. That's where whenever I reload this, it says it has no configuration, and I have to, again, drag and drop it. I'd like it to somehow cache it. Actually, that doesn't work. I need to fix that too. I guess what I want to do is have it auto-connect whenever we pick one. So I guess that's next stream ideas. Auto-connect WebSocket whenever a valid realm instance combination is selected. So the caching thing, I'm gonna have to look that up. So unless someone in chat knows, I'm gonna just be searching for it. We'll do what every programmer does when they don't know how to do something. Google search it. So React cache between reload. Okay, let me look it up slightly differently. Cache data. Caching component data, here we go. That's not quite what I want. Local storage, sure, I think this might be it. What's local storage? That's a JavaScript thing, right? Local storage. Let's read about local storage. Okay, so you can have session storage and you can have local storage. Okay, cool. So this shouldn't be too hard. We'll do it's set item, get item. So that means I should be able, when we do the drop of the config, we can do set item, right? So here, if it succeeds, we'll do a, hold on. Do I really want to do window dot, or is there a React way to do it? Local store. Eh. Okay, you don't have to say window.local. I can just say window. I can just say local storage. Okay, cool. So set item key is configuration. Value is configuration. Cool. So then on, I guess on, what is it? On a, is it on the constructor? We can say configuration is local storage.get item configuration or null, or does it return null? Doesn't say. Set item value needs to be a string. Oh, really? Okay, we'll have to from JSON it. I'm just looking up to see what happens if it's not there. Null is returned. That's exactly what I want. Okay, so it will be JSON parse that or null. I'll be careful not to store something in there that's not JSON parsable. And hey there, Blueberry King, and thank you. I'm a goat. So the set item needs to be that stringified, right? Actually, can you just say configuration.stringify? Since it's not a JSON object, it's a JavaScript object. Right. Okay, let's try that out. Oh. Hold on. It shouldn't have gotten that far. Run to realm selection. Oh wait, it's not that I wanted null, it's I wanted an empty, right? There we go. So the first time I drag it in, it'll store it. And then when I reload, look at that. Although it didn't reselect it didn't put the instance number in there. Oh, we have an error? What's our error? Yeah, because it's null, I bet. Yeah, this is due to me not knowing how to do a proper switch statement. I need to learn that. It's already in my to-do list somewhere else, so I'm not going to add it now. I want to see what my state is. The other day it was putting, oh, I see. It depends on how much space you give it. Either puts it on the top or the bottom. Yeah, so the way I set up that initial population of the instance selection is not working yet. It might be, let me see what that might be. When we render it, I guess? It's this selected realm, right? I guess we could cache that as well. Where does it get set though? Okay, it's on the drop. Oh, I see. So this default selection, I probably should do that whenever the configuration gets set. So I should have instead of setting it directly, I should have a setter for that, right? So something like this. This dot set. Well, hold on. What if we, what if we start at that, and then we will, it's like there's a way to make an attachment on, what's it called? I'm new at React. Like on component attached or something? Component did mount. Isn't it gonna help me out here? Autocomplete? I didn't use it here either. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'll look it up. Alright, it's referring to the example, I'm sure. Ugh. I want an example. I'm just impatient right now because I'm on stream. If I was off stream, I'd probably spend more time reading it. I just want to know the proper way to define the function. Oh, okay. That's it? No needing to bind it or anything? I guess it makes sense because that's how render is defined, right? And it ought to go together with that. All this React specific stuff should go there. Go in a group. It's just that. Okay, yeah. I'm assuming, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming you can do that because React internally does a bind. Or it calls, it's the one calling me. I'm not calling it. If I did, I'd have to bind it, right? Or do this. Yes, so. Oh, did I already lose? I already lost that. Let's go back. I put it in my clipboard and I lost it. There it is. Now it's in the clipboard. Works the same way as render. Yeah. I mean, it looks the same as render. Okay, so that's the thing I want. So let's say const configuration equals that. Oh, hold on. It might not be in there, and we don't want to parse null. So actually, what does JSON parse do if it's null? I think it throws an exception. Oh no, null is null, right? Null is null. But I don't want it to set it to null. Actually, I want to do this. I want to have a helper. So on configuration changed. On configuration set equals arrow function. And then this will say on load it from local storage. If configuration, then this dot set state. This right? Two steps. So this is encoded configuration. Configuration equals JSON.parse that. That I want to do that, and I also want to wait a minute. Yes, call this. So I have to say this. The whole idea is I didn't want to have to say this dot. I hope that that works, because that's where I'm going to put that other code that initializes selected realm here and instance. So I wanted to put that here. And then I can turn this off, yes. Actually, I could put the set state in there completely, right? Don't think I can omit the this. I'm sure it will tell me in a minute. Okay, it's more not on set configuration set, it's set configuration. And okay, we're doing parse in both places. So let me just say file as binary string there, and we'll do the parse there as well. Actually, we can do that. Well, no. Apply configuration? Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that might be a hint that I do need to say this dot. No? I'm gonna guess that it lets me do that. We'll see if I'm wrong. Because it's an arrow function. Oh, because I just didn't name it right. Yeah, I wanted to put that there. That is part of it as well, and that's configuration. And then, oh, I also want to do the parsing, right? And this reduces to this. Line 49. Okay, so I think you guys were right. Yes. I don't like having to say this dot. It irks me because it's like in C++ saying this arrow, which should fold to nothing if it's already in a member function. Anyway, it looks like it worked. In fact, it loaded it. How do I need a button to clear it, to test it when it's initially empty? Probably should put that in there. Like forget configuration or something. Let me see how it's done. Like, how do you remove it? I guess it's part of this? No. I'm part of the storage API, right? Clear? All stored keys. How do I, remove item. Okay, got it. Okay, remove item is what I want. And I want to make a button out of that. Not this editor, this one. Okay. Render connect. Yeah, just a button. We'll put that, where do I want to put that? Next to that drop thing. I have this in the wrong place really, but yeah. On forget configuration, forget. Remember, forget. Okay. I want all the callbacks to be in group, and then all the renders to be in one group, because later when I clean it up, it'll be easier. Forget. All right, and this will just say local storage dot remove item configuration. And I suppose we can also say set configuration. Oh, look at that. It auto-completed the this dot null, right? Let me have a special thing in here. If encoded configuration, this, otherwise, the defaults. That'll always get something. That'll forget it. So I can actually fold this out completely out. Right? Okay, let's try that. Forget. Yay, it forgot. And now I can reload that and it'll still have forgotten. Okay, and then I drop one in. And then I'll reload. It still remembers, look at that. And if I wanted to, I could even have it remember my last selection, but I don't really mind having to select that. I probably will mind. I'll eventually add it. But this is good enough for now, I think. Awesome. So yeah, is there any way to avoid having to say this dot? Because that's what I tried to do by making it an arrow function. I need to read up on this later. This is bothering me. Study more about method binding. Well, it's in a special kind of construct, right? It's a it's a class. I know this is like syntactic sugar. It's not in real JavaScript, right? Or is it? I'll just put it in quotes for now. But method binding in a JavaScript class. Probably should read about classes too. Just I need to solidify my understanding of what that means. Classes don't work without this. By using function closures. Yeah, so exactly. Let me take your note. Thank you for that. I'll put that in with my to-do thing here to keep in mind. It isn't so much about the binding of this, it's because this isn't included in scope. See, it's just sort of feels weird to me because in C++ it's implicit that if you're in a member function, like I expect all of these to be member functions, or I would at least like to tell JavaScript that it is a member function, that it should just be implied. But maybe I'll just have to get used to it, this dot. All right, so I'm actually done with the things I wanted to get done with today. It's 2 o'clock. Maybe I should wrap things up. My voice is getting tired. I've only been going for 3 hours, 20 minutes, though. Yeah. I'm happy getting through the plan. So let me do a recap. Actually, let me do some check-in first. Did a lot of stuff without checking in. That's bad. I fixed something in Raft, didn't I? What was the problem? Oh, it was a bunch of things. Is it okay that we do a monster commit here? It's gonna be kind of ugly, but okay. We'll deal with it. So Raft improvements and, well, it's all in Raft. Improvements and bug fixes. Monster commit, yeah. Well, I should have done better and made smaller check-ins. Hey, it's a personal preference. Some people just do monster commits, like one commit a day. But my preference is usually to do a commit for every use case or every bug fix, you know, every individual thing. Object destructuring. Oh, you mean in reference to JavaScript? Let me grab your messages there. I wish I didn't have to do right click, click that, keep text only. I'll show you what it does when I just paste. It says that, and I'm like, I don't care about where I got it from. Thank you for those tips. I'll reread these as I'm studying more, but I really do appreciate that. It helps me out a lot. Okay, so one improvement was we replace is leader, state and getter method with election state enum. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's... Where have I seen that before? That's in a couple other languages, right? Doesn't Lua have something like that? So I'm not too uncomfortable with it. I've seen stuff like that before. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in JavaScript and also in libraries. Like I know if I picked up Lodash, I would be able to do a bunch of other cool stuff. Just things that I'm not familiar with yet. That so I don't know to do them. But that I'll be picking up as we go. All right, that's the whole leader thing. Okay, and then add print to method for our election state for pretty printing in tests. And then what was this change? That was just a change to the API. Okay, this has to do with have followers make leader announcements as well. But only when the leader is first known or announced, but only announce it once per term. That makes sense. TypeScript, huh? Yeah, the suggestion came up yesterday too, and I did look at TypeScript at first because I was looking at Angular, and I got overwhelmed with having to understand both TypeScript and Angular at the same time, and so I took a step back, and that's part of the reason I jumped to React, is that I found it more approachable. I'd like to learn TypeScript, but I think I'd like to learn TypeScript only after I've gotten more comfortable with JavaScript, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Another reason to end the stream is my voice is wearing out. Okay. Right, that was part of the management of that variable. Okay. Excuse me. Need to like mute myself when I have to cough. Okay, yeah, that was a problem. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. This might be resetting it twice for no reason. Revert to follower might also be resetting the timer. That was in revert to follower. Oh yeah. So we don't need to both revert and reset. There. Let me do that and rerun the unit test to make sure that doesn't break anything. That's redundant. I don't need to do that. So raft tests, realm server tests, all good, all still good. Okay, good. Pick up that change as well. If we revert to follower only, that also resets the election timer. The thing about TypeScript is that you can easily transition JavaScript to it. Yeah, that's my plan, I think. Is to get comfortable with JavaScript, and then pick up TypeScript where appropriate, right? So, where appropriate would be where I can see I get a net gain by switching to it. I like to try to evaluate things that way. Like, if I can do things two different ways, like TypeScript or not, then what do I gain and what do I lose? Oh, cool. All right. Is leader... Okay, yes. There was a bug that I fixed, though, as part of this. Announce leader when a follower, yes. Was it just that the... Okay, yeah. Tighten up unit tests to check for election state, not just whether or not the unit under test is a leader. Alright, that was maybe it. That's part of the, I guess they were just bugs that were introduced by adding the announcement of a leader by a follower. Yeah. Uh-oh, we're being raided. Hey there, Irish John. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, I think. I'm wrapping up my stream, so I'll go over what I'm doing for anyone who's new here, but after that I'm gonna be having to host someone else because my voice is starting to go. So how was your stream, Irish John? How's the pirate battles going? Oh, thanks for the follow, Lumi. Yeah, Irish John, if you're looking for people to help you test the game, I'd be willing to help out. I think you were talking about that yesterday. You hope to get enough people, like load test. Hey there, fresh meat. Yeah, so shout out to Irish John Gaming if you haven't seen his stream. He's working on a Unity-based multiplayer PvP pirate ship battles. So, does it have PvE also, or is it mostly just shooting at each other? It looked pretty cool. I'm just checking in my code here. I'll do a little bit of an intro, but I'll have to pretty much wrap up and host someone else because my voice is getting tired. I think I covered it. I think I covered the commit message. We'll commit that. We'll check it in. And then I'll tell you guys what I'm doing so that you can decide whether or not you'd like to come back and watch me next time. And then I'll wrap things up. Oh, I need to go into your Discord then to watch for the announcement. Nice. Nice. Very good. Okay, yeah, this was all split between front end and back end. Should I just check it all in together? Let's just do it. Check in all the... oh. That is some quirk in my editor. Actually, let me fix that right now. It's one of these is opened with CRLF and the other one's open with just CR. This one, yeah. So click that, pick CRLF. That way I don't get that weird message anymore. All right. So this was 2 features, right? So enhancements to the admin console. get server cluster state even if talking to a follower. The other one is get a copy of the selected server's diagnostic log. And that's essentially it. Oh, also cache the configuration in local state, right? Is that what it was called? Local storage, which I learned about today. Okay, cool. Now I will push that and I'll tell you guys exactly what I'm doing. So thank you for being patient. So I have a nice command here game that kind of is a intro to what I'm doing now. But I also have this notebook that you can feel free to browse around. So I'm working on a game called Omnia Regnia. It's Latin for all realms, and I went with that because it's hard to find a name that isn't taken, so I just took a small phrase that's somewhat relevant to the game idea, looked up what it is in Latin, and it sounded pretty cool, so I registered that domain name, and that's what we're going to go with. So I liked Ultima 5 growing up as a kid, and so my goal is to make a multiplayer version of a game like that has that harkens back to that. So retro 2D multiplayer, and that also makes it more approachable to me as a developer. I don't have to do the really crazy, awesome looking graphics like Irish John has. I'm not nearly that artistic. Picking something that it only requires simple pixel art, and then I can focus on the mechanics of the game. Maybe at some point hire an artist to improve the graphics, right? And it's not yet playable, but I'm trying to get it to a state where there's at least something you can log into. It won't be fun at first, but maybe with the community's help, I'll be evolving the game. The idea is that I want the game to be always up, always running, and I'll be in there updating the game, adding content, updating the code in the game, and there's no need for downtime. So it's like a mutating server. And in order to make that work, one of the first things I'm establishing, this is like only the second week I've worked on this, is establishing a server cluster. So the idea is you have a copy of the game in multiple servers, and they talk to each other to achieve consensus. So they all have a copy of the game state as it changes, and one of the servers is elected the leader, and that's the leader's who the client initially contacts. And that way I can take any of these servers down individually, update the code, bring it back into the cluster, and the clients have really no awareness that it happened, except maybe a slight lag at certain moments when the new server comes up and there has to be a re-election of leader. Yeah, web dev. So all this is web-based. So client will be in the browser. All these connections are WebSockets. I have been mostly doing the back end, so I started with nothing in June. Well, I had a couple low-level components like socket libraries that I started with, and I developed my own web server. And the web server is now the basis for all these connection points. I'm making the game out of web server stuff. So if you're interested, like every day I make a plan and a new log entry in the same notebook. And you can always go back and see like, well, what was I doing the very first stream? Not much, but I was, for the first, say, 50 streams, I was building up a basic web server, and then I did stuff with Twitch. I added transport layer security. I did a chat bot, and then I switched around stream 70 to making a game out of it. So that's a brief rundown. Every time I give this brief rundown, I hope it gets better and better. But most of the time I'll be spending I'll be doing work on the back end. It's going to be C++ and Lua, and on the client side, I'm really new and novice level, I would say, at JavaScript, but I'm going to try to use React, maybe Pixie.js for the graphics, and it'll be fun to watch me stumble around with that, maybe. I'll be less good on the JavaScript side. Hopefully I'm better at C++, because that's sort of my bread and butter for the last 20 years, as I've been doing C++ stuff. So what I did today, I have this little admin console. It looks ugly as hell. Where is it? Looks ugly as hell, but at least I can get the diagnostic log. I can tell who the which server is the cluster leader, and I can talk to the leader if I want. There's a little problem with the overflow of the text, but every server I talk to, I can get its log out. Also, I could show you how the cluster, the fault tolerance works. So here's the log from the perspective of the orchestrator, which is a little guy that it will relaunch a server if it dies. And if I go and I just start killing servers, watch what happens. We'll just pick a server and we'll kill it. I actually killed the leader, so what happened is server 3 took over, and both server 2 and 3 said, okay, we have a leader now, a new leader, server 2. And then the orchestrator went and relaunched server 1 because it had died. And then server 1 says, okay, I'm a follower, 3 is the leader. So 3, let me kill follower server 2 next. So that's 128. Killing a follower is not so bad because you don't need a new leader. Just the orchestrator relaunches him, right? But yeah, it's pretty resilient. If I take down 2 servers at once, though, then the third server will be like, I can't become leader because there's not a majority of servers who can vote on it. It's all based off of an algorithm called Raft. And if I had that linked to in some of my notes, here we go. And you can take a look at raft.github.io if you're interested in the algorithm. There's a nice little virtualization that shows what happens, how the election process happens, and how the logs get replicated. So if I make some log entries, how they eventually get replicated by these messages. It's pretty fun stuff. We implemented that in the last 10 streams or so, and still building on it. I don't have this log of game state yet. I just have the election process. Oh, well, thank you, Mel's. So yeah, I just have leader election process now. I don't have the log. The log is going to be needed, though, when here's the architecture of the server internally. So I only have the top 4 components existing yet, and the second layer I'm working on. The first layer is done, so web server stuff, it took 200 hours, we're done with it. WebGate was just an abstraction to have 3 multiple servers, some private, some public. So Raft server, we only have election process. Coordinator uses that to talk to other servers. When we add in the rest of the game here, it's going to be 2 parts. There's the actual game snapshot, its current state, which all of the game mechanics will use, like for each realm, how many zones you have, and each zone has multiple places have entities, all the standard stuff you'd have in a game. And then the snapshot is built by a journal or a log, which is a sequence of changes to the game state. And you can imagine the game's state starts like the universe started. There's nothing, and all of a sudden things are being created. If hopefully, don't not get too religious, but the game will start with no state, and then we'll be creating a realm. Now within the realm, create a zone, and then create some places. And then these will each be a log entry that fits into the Raft algorithm as a change that has to be replicated to all the other servers. Once a majority of servers have replicated it, it's stamped as committed, and that is now the official state of the game. And probably I'll be doing this in stages over the next few weeks. I'll probably have fake journal entries just to get the Raft part working. And then I'll just once that's working, I'll then turn the journal entries from fake ones into real ones that apply to game state. And once I have a front end to show the game state, you'll actually be able to log in, see the world, do stuff, and we'll have more game-like development at that point. But right now, we're still building up this server back-end mechanical stuff. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that explanation. And oh yeah, if you wanted to go back and watch any of the previous things, you can go to the YouTube channel here and just match up. Like, let's say you wanted to see the stream where I wrote hash functions. You just look up stream 67 and you can watch it. So you can't open the notes. It should be through that link, right? But yeah, so the one Stream Elements just gave. Why can't you open them? I want you to be able to open them. Or you're on mobile, maybe? Okay, see you, Irish John. Thanks for the host. Just won't load. Uh-oh. This is what you should see. It should just jump right into here. It's like the OneNote Online portal. I don't know why it doesn't work for you. That sucks. Sorry about that. Are you planning on only running game logic on the server? Or need some split? Hold on a second. Sorry, I had to cough there. That's my overlay if I have to mute the mic. I'm hoping to put all the game logic on the server, but I might have to have the client side do a little of it. It depends on how performant the game ends up being, right? If I could, I'd like to put all the logic on the server so that clients can't cheat, right? I can have control over it, but I might have to move some of it to the client side. Ah, cool, it loaded, great. Okay, so Loom, you asked earlier, does the server stuff just forward messages to the current master? The raft algorithm is pretty strict, and it says the leader is the only one that can advance the state, and it has to make sure every other server that follows it confirms, at least a majority of them have to confirm if they've gotten what's being replicated, and then they can move on. So it's pretty strict about it. There has to be a leader, and the leader's the only one that can make things move ahead. Yeah, that's gonna be the issue. I kind of dread running into that because I have very little experience doing game dev, but I have done stuff with low latency work in multimedia at my last job, so maybe that'll come in handy. We'll see. We'll experience that together when we get there. Yes. Well, we'll see. That'll be the challenge. I do want it to work on mobile. It got its own set of challenges, right? So for mobile, I'll have to make the controls easy to use, and I can't just design for PC desktop client only, right? So I think if you're interested in this, well, what I'll probably be doing next time, I'll be beefing up more of the admin console. So I wanted to have it auto connect, and there's I'll probably work on these issues. So there's a problem with the random number generator being seeded, and also there's some stuff in the WebSocket layer that is a sort of like a memory leak now that I need to go address. So if I get to some of this stuff, like figuring out some of the issues I had with React Virtualized, I might be working on the front end to improve it a little bit. But I'll have a more concrete plan later. And what I'd like to do, like some other streamers do this, is if you go on I have a Discord channel like all other streamers do. There's an announcements channel there, and I post there like maybe half an hour before to let people know that I'm gonna stream, and then you can always just look at this log and see if what I plan to do is interesting or not. You can watch or not. So yeah. Synchronizing event streams, it's going to be fun. I'm making all the messages and all the log entries in JSON format. I know it's not going to be very optimized, but one reason for that is I expect to have problems with resolving conflicts, and I want to see the log as a series of JSON objects that I can actually understand without having to decode it. And we'll get to that pretty soon, I think. Although it won't be a real game, we'll at least be doing the log conflict resolution soon. All right, I think I'm gonna call it here, and I stream. If I type this, it'll tell you from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific. So tomorrow is Thursday. I'll be on 10 a.m. Pacific. Until then, let me go see who is streaming now. We can go visit. If you guys have any other questions, I can answer them now, or we can talk later on Discord or tomorrow. Well, yeah, JSON is pretty fast, but it feels like it's not going to be as fast as I might need it to be, but we'll see. Okay, what I'll do is I'll give a shout out to the guy I'm going to host. He was in Adam's channel earlier. He's working on a game called Thrusty Ship. I think it's an awesome game. It's Unity game development. And I think he's still actively looking for beta testers. So if you like what you see and ask Mike really nicely, he might let you beta test it for him, which I think you'll enjoy it. So we'll go host him. Let me get set up. Let me make sure he's still running. He streams for an absurd number of hours a day, so he's usually running now. Yeah, he's still going. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, we'll hope you enjoy Mike's stream. See ya. Bye.